The Baltimore Police Department taking drastic measures to deal with the gaps left by staffing shortages. The new incentives the department is offering. A rise in juvenile crime in the city. 8 young people are accused in multiple crimes this past weekend. The frustration from state's attorneys fighting to hold criminals accountable. And an update on the wiretap allegations against the Harford County executive. We have a statement from the council president on the progress of that investigation.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
An understaffed Baltimore City Police Department now taking drastic measures to stretch limited resources.
I think it's a desperate situation, no doubt about it. Crime doesn't stop because of a lack of the number of police officers on the police department, and I think the commissioner had to come up with something.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Thank you for staying with us. Today, a document uncovered by Fox 45 News reveals BPD is offering officers thousands of dollars to switch to understaffed shifts and districts. They're also pulling detectives off their investigations to work patrol. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor has the story.
In the words of BPD's Deputy Chief of Patrols, desperate times call for desperate measures. That message and a memo obtained by Fox 45 revealing BPD offering officers bonuses to switch to understaffed shifts and districts. The report claims the imbalance between shifts due to redistricting. It says at least 10 patrol officers will need to move to the central and western districts. Officers who volunteer will receive $5,000. Additionally, 60 officers will also need to move from the day shift to the night shift. Those volunteers will receive $2,000. In total, the payout potentially costing taxpayers $170,000. And if not enough officers agree to switch shifts, they'll be forced to make the move to be worked in 28-day rotations.
The commissioner is recognizing that these are difficult times.
According to former FBI agent and legal expert Tyrone Powers, it's a sign Acting Commissioner Worley knows BPD's staffing crisis, which sits at more than 500 officers short, is reaching rock bottom.
We still have a crime issue. We have a homicide issue. We have a juvenile crime issue. And so he's having to be innovative and creative and also to make expenditures.
Speaking on behalf of BPD's rank and file police union leadership, sending a statement to Fox 45, reading in part, quote, "They are at a breaking point. Large pay increases and retention bonuses need to happen immediately or we will lose more of them."
I think it's a logical idea to pay officers more. You would be paying that anyway if you had the number of officers that you needed on the police force.
Fox 45 asking BPD if it's an option they're considering, but so far, no response. Meanwhile, BPD's Deputy Chief of Patrols also sending this message to detectives, informing them due to critical staffing needs, detectives will backfill patrols during their normal duty hours, meaning detectives will be pulled from their investigations. The police union claiming the move will have little impact on patrols, but major impacts on BPD's ability to close cases. Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Well, one high-profile case for BPD, the Brooklyn Homes mass shooting. Today marks 1 month since 2 were killed and 28 others were injured during the Brooklyn Day block party. Rebecca Pryor caught up with Mayor Scott earlier today to ask for an update on the investigation. He says there will be no more updates until an arrest is made. Take a listen.
I'm a Baltimorean, and I'm not going to talk about how close we are and who we're coming after out in the public. You'll know when we put the bracelets on them and we tell them.
30 people were shot, though, and a month has gone by. Does the public have no right to know why no arrests have been made in this case yet?
I think the public knows, and Baltimore knows Baltimore very well. We've already made one arrest, so let's not give out incorrect information.
No one has been arrested for the shooting, though.
So what we'll do continuously is that we have the best homicide and shooting detectives in the world.
Well, the arrest the mayor is referencing is for a teen who was seen carrying a gun during the incident. However, that teen and no other suspects have been arrested for the actual shooting. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 10 tonight, Jeff Abel looking at the unanswered questions still left following that mass shooting. New data from Baltimore police suggests you have about a 98% chance of getting away with car thefts in Baltimore City. The department saying more than 5,500 cars have been stolen in the city this year, and police have made just 94 arrests for car theft. Fox 45 today spoke with Sergeant Betsy Smith with the National Police Association. She says this elevated rate of car thefts is happening in big cities nationwide. But in Baltimore, she points to a department that has a shortage of officers and says the officers that are on the job are likely being pulled to more pressing problems. In Anne Arundel County, police say 6 teenagers from Baltimore were arrested in connection with 2 separate crimes in the county. Police say 2 other suspects were too young to be charged. Police say 3 of the teens assaulted a victim, stole her keys, and tried to take her car before running away. Police arrested them later, and then hours after that, police say the 5 other juveniles stole and crashed a car. Now, some Maryland prosecutors are calling for juveniles to be held accountable. Many say their hands are tied thanks to action taken by the Maryland General Assembly. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker has continuing coverage.
Tuesday night, 8 juveniles from Baltimore City are accused of committing crime in Anne Arundel County. Police say 3 juvenile females were arrested for an attempted carjacking, assaulting the victim before stealing her keys. 3 juvenile males were also arrested for car theft. Police say 2 more suspects were involved, but not charged due to their age.
They know that, nothing's really going to happen to them if they keep their crime in a certain limit of types of crimes.
The Juvenile Justice Reform Act limits those under 13 to charges for crimes of violence and says a juvenile under 10 cannot be charged. The law also calls for 6 months probation for juveniles who commit adult misdemeanors and 1-year probation for juveniles who commit adult felonies.
I am concerned that in some instances the legislature got involved in redrafting fundamental principles of constitutional law.
Their limitations, 9 states attorneys across Maryland, including Montgomery County State's Attorney John McCarthy, tell us are making their jobs harder when it comes to holding young people accountable. McCarthy would like to see a list of things changed, including the complete prohibition on charging those 13 and under, the prohibition on detaining a juvenile for technical probation violations, capping probation at 6 months, and a prohibition on detaining a juvenile for misdemeanors.
They come in, we can't detain them, they're back in the community the next day. They get picked up for the second one, can't detain them. They're back in the community again the next day. They pick up a third, they're back in the community again the next day. That is frustrating to the community and frustrating to us because without the detention, we are, in many instances, we're really not getting the attention of the child.
As 2 Maryland legislative committees plan to look into accusations juvenile justice reform laws are contributing to the problem, we asked Mayor Brandon Scott if he thinks the laws need to change.
This system has to be built brand new because we know the old system, the adult system, doesn't work for young people, and we know what we have today doesn't work as well. We need to Maryland needs to lead in building a system that actually works and has that balance of accountability for one's actions and understanding how, especially before they get too far gone in the life, that we're actually able to correct young people's behavior and benefit them and their families.
Critics say action needs to be taken sooner rather than later, and talk must translate to results.
I think a lot of this hearing is designed to placate the public. It's going to give people the political security to say, look, I take this seriously, I want something done. But it's not going to create action as far as concrete legislative program because you still have to get some sort of program through the legislature, and then the governor has to sign off on it.
Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
And that brings us to our question of the day. Should juveniles who commit serious crime be treated as adults in the judicial system? So far, 91% say yes. Go to foxbaltimore.com/vote and join the conversation.
We have an update right now to the accusations that Harford County Executive Bob Casserly spied on Councilman Aaron Penman and other government officials and citizens. The council president says the Office of the Maryland Special Prosecutor will handle the investigation moving forward. Council President Patrick Vicente made that announcement today, saying the special prosecutor will receive his full support and cooperation. The statement goes on to say the county council's communications with constituents and legislative matters should remain confidential. He says he's actively reviewing the need for county council and other local agencies to have separate computer and phone plans. Yesterday, Casserly admitted he did monitor communications between Penman, the Harford County Sheriff, and several others. He says monitoring communications is allowed, and it was done legally because the county's phone usage policies state all computer systems can be monitored at any time. Penman disagrees.
I do not work for the county executive. I work for the constituents of District B. It's a separate branch of government. I am not an employee of the county. Therefore, he is not privy to my emails and correspondence on cell phones.
Casserly initially denied Penman's allegations of illegally wiretapping, calling it malicious and slanderous. Fox 45 News will continue to follow this developing story and update you on air and online. You can find all of our past reporting on foxbaltimore.com.
Guy, thank you. Controversy surrounding the judge who could preside over President Trump's latest criminal case, her past history with lawsuits involving the Capitol insurrection.
The U.S.'s credit rating has been downgraded. I'm Atrell Nashar with what this could mean for the economy and your bottom line.
And right around a month until we start school across most of the area, including the Eastern Shore. But we've got a lot of summer to get through in the forecast. I'll let you know when we could be touching 90 again. That's up in my Weather Authority forecast.
Making headlines tonight, the judge likely to preside over former President Trump's criminal case has spoken out in the past about attempts to overturn the 2020 election. Judge Tanya Chutkan is no stranger to lawsuits regarding the January 6th riot. She rejected Trump's attempt in 2021 to block the House Select Committee investigating the riot from getting White House records from that time. This could complicate one of Special Counsel Jack Smith's main goals in the indictment.
In this case, my office will seek a speedy trial so that our evidence can be tested in court and judged by a jury of citizens.
Chutkan has served as a federal judge since being appointed by former President Obama in 2014 and later confirmed by the Senate 95-0. And also making headlines, it was a rocky day on Wall Street as investors digest the impact of a downgrade to the United States credit rating from AAA to AA+ by Fitch Ratings. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar joins us live from Capitol Hill with more on this. Good evening, Atra.
Hey, good evening, Mary. Fitch Ratings issuing a scathing assessment of the nation's fiscal health, a culmination of more than a decade of worsening partisan tension. A blow to the credibility of U.S. debt from one of the top 3 rating agencies, occurring for the first time since 2011 and for only the second time in history. Fitch Ratings says their downgrade is based on expected fiscal deterioration over the next 3 years, a growing government debt burden, and the erosion of governance compared to other top-rated countries. The firm reportedly cited January 6th as an example during a meeting with Biden administration officials.
We're very safe. Still an extremely safe asset, but not quite as good as AAA.
At best. Mark Goldwine, Senior Vice President and Senior Policy Director for the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, notes the U.S. still holds the world's reserve currency and remains the safest place to park large sums of money.
My hope is that this does not have an effect on everyday people. The risk is if there are further downgrades,
which would come with even higher interest rates, slower economic growth, and an overall weaker economy. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen calling the downgrade arbitrary and based on outdated data. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre blames, quote, extremism by Republican officials, like seeking to extend deficit-busting tax giveaways for the wealthy and corporations. The Republican Party blaming President Biden and Democrats, who say they, quote, took the country to the brink of default amid an increasingly unsteady economic path.
I'm worried this is actually going to create more divisiveness, which is actually going to feed right into the very thing that the downgrade warned about.
That, plus the rising cost of Medicare and Social Security, rising deficits in which interest payments are on track to outpace defense spending, and the frequent threat of debt ceiling crises and government shutdowns. And speaking of, Mary, Congress may be staring down the barrel of another shutdown if they don't pass a government budget or stopgap bill by September 30th. And as we've been seeing unfold, tensions between the party are just getting worse, not just with news of this credit downgrading from Fitch, but also things like the Hunter Biden investigation and news of a third indictment against former President Trump.
Right. And Atra, what did Fitch say about the chances of the U.S. slipping into a recession?
Right, that was part of the scathing assessment. They have the U.S., they've projected that the U.S. will enter what they say will be a mild recession at the end of this year into early next year. And they believe that real GDP growth for 2024 will be just 1/4 point. And to give that, some perspective of how far the economy would have to fall compared to where it is now, the last GDP rating we got for Q2 was 2.4%, which was great. It beat expectations. So this certainly is at odds with other recession forecasts that have pushed it even further, maybe second quarter of next year. And as we saw from the Federal Reserve, their economists are no longer predicting a recession at all.
Interesting. I guess we just have to wait and see and keep tightening our belts. Atra El-Nashar live in D.C. for us tonight. Thank you.
All right, here we go. And taking a look at the Fox triple cast this evening. Mile 1 Taos Cam, Toyota East Unit Harbor Sky Cam looking A-OK. And you see in the corner of the HD radar, that is our next weather maker with a risk of some showers and maybe even a thunderstorm by later on tomorrow. So we're tracking some Thursday showers. I think it's kind of few and far between here, but I really believe that Friday is going to be our most unsettled day over the next few. Humidity comes back, and by this weekend, oh yeah, summertime heat, more typical of August, going to be coming back. 81 right now, mostly cloudy skies. Some of that Canadian wildfire haze is getting in the mix, not here at ground level, but upstairs in the atmosphere. So that's why we do have, again, some of those hazy skies, but the breathing conditions are okay. Winds out of the southeast at 7. And with that low humidity, the feels like temperature, exactly the same as the actual temperature. HD radar showing some of the rain and thunderstorms out to our west. These are going to be moving eastbound quickly, and some of those may make the trip by tomorrow afternoon. So the nice fair weather high pressure, our fair weather friend, our latest weather maker, that's all going to be moving east, and we get in on some of those showers and thunderstorms out to our west, riding around the big ridge of heat That's down to our south and west. Temperatures near 100. New Orleans all the way up into North Texas, Dallas, well into the hundreds. Around here, no, we're not going to see that, but some disturbances kind of coming around that big heat. So a chance of a shower storm later tomorrow and a better risk of some scattered showers and storms potentially for Friday. So let's plan things out overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. Nice and dry. Temperatures in the 60s, but by tomorrow afternoon, there's not a whole lot there, but late day there could be a spot shower, maybe a rumble, and there's that better chance of some showers on Friday and maybe a rumble of thunder as well Friday afternoon. Tonight down into the 60s. Tomorrow looks like we're in the 80s with that PM shower storm risk. I'll let you know how long that lasts in the exclusive 10-day forecast.
Jonathan, thanks. Passport problems, the application processing delays that are sparking calls on the State Department. In tonight's Assignment America, the U.S. is experiencing unprecedented demand for passports this summer, causing a backlog of applications. Gabrielle Caracolo from our Sinclair sister station in Rhode Island has a closer look.
They have already made travel plans. They've submitted it, but they don't have the passport yet back, and they're worried about whether they can travel.
That's the complaint Rhode Island Senator Jack Reed is hearing more than ever as passport applications are taking longer to process. The State Department is seeing millions more applications this year, creating some of the highest demand ever. Before the pandemic, it took 4 to 6 weeks, but now as more and more people look to travel again, the wait can be up to 13 weeks.
That was a function of, in many cases, the State Department not having the resources to process them, the sudden and overwhelming requests for passports that for the previous 2 years were virtually none.
Reed recently helped pass legislation in the Senate that would allow for hiring new personnel and help to improve the online tools that help during the application process. He's urging everyone to check their passport's expiration dates now to avoid a headache later.
Your passport does not have to be expired for you to renew it. You can renew at any time.
AAA agrees, saying they've seen a 400% increase in international travel interest this year.
There are plenty of instances where folks were booking trips and find out that they're not going to get their passport in time.
Because of that, they say it's already time to start thinking about your holiday plans.
If you're thinking about flying internationally for Christmas, now's the time to get that passport situation sorted out.
Exclusive 10-day forecast. Temperatures in the 80s for tomorrow. A couple of PM showers, maybe a rumble. I think a better risk of some showers and thunderstorms Friday. Nothing heavy or severe, but with more humidity. High near 81, up near 90 over the weekend. Dries out nicely, although it's still a little sticky, and it turns more humid again early next week. Up near 90 Monday, Tuesday, 87 on Wednesday. Could be into the 90s once again for next Thursday, Friday. By next Saturday, we're at 88 with a spot shower or thunderstorm.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, finally tonight, the Baltimore Ravens announcing they will host their second annual Kids Night at M&T Bank Stadium. It'll happen next Saturday in the preseason opener against the Philadelphia Eagles. Kickoff is set for 7. The first 15,000 kids under 16 will receive a specialty Ravens bucket hat. And the new Ravens Gaming League trailer will be available for fans on Ravens Walk, which will have a ton of video games available for kids to play. It's going to be a fun night for them. Well, that's all for Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feud's next. We'll see you back here for the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. Good night.